Think it daily, become it fully. You were not born to drift, not to be another face lost in the crowd, numbing your fire with distractions, shrinking your greatness to fit someone else's comfort. You were born to build, to believe, to become, and becoming begins in thought. That thought you whisper in the dark when the world isn't watching. The idea that keeps coming back, even when you try to bury it beneath fear, doubt, and obligation. That's not just wishful thinking. It's your soul trying to speak to you. What you think, daily, you are planting. What you hold, hourly, you are shaping. What you repeat, relentlessly, you are becoming. Every titan, every revolutionary, every man or woman who defied the odds and transformed the world. They started with thought. Not wealth, not fame, not a perfect plan, just a stubborn, burning belief. Thomas Edison wasn't a genius in a lab coat. He was a man who refused to stop thinking about light while the world laughed in the dark. Henry Ford didn't know how to build an empire, but he held one persistent idea, that the common man could own a car, and he thought it daily until the world had no choice but to catch up. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Let that sink in. The man who dreamed in castles and made mice famous was once told he wasn't creative enough, but he kept thinking it, he kept living it, until fantasy became an industry, and doubt became applause. So what are you thinking about? Daily? Is it power or powerlessness? Is it fear of what might go wrong? Or the vision of what must go right? The mind is not neutral ground. Every day, it bends toward something. Toward expansion or contraction, abundance or scarcity, purpose or passivity. You are sculpting your future by default or by design. The question is not whether you re-manifesting something. The question is, are you awake to what you re-manifesting? Most people aren't thinking. They're reacting. They wake up, and the first thought isn't one they chose. It's handed to them by headlines, by past trauma, by someone else's opinion. And then the day spirals. A passive echo of yesterday, but not you, not anymore. You're not here to be reactive. You're here to create. And creation begins in the quiet furnace of your mind. Not with noise, not with movement, but with clarity, with discipline of thought. If you think it daily, you're not just affirming. You're training, you're rewiring the blueprint of your identity. So what do you do with that clarity? You protect it. Like a flame in the wind, you shield it with everything you've got. Because clarity is not loud. It doesn't shout like distractions do. It speaks in a calm, steady pulse. The kind that most people miss because they're scrolling, rushing, reacting, surviving. But you slow down enough to hear it. You recognize that every great monument was first invisible. It lived in someone's imagination long before it stood in stone. So you give your thought space, you sit with it, you honor it. That's where belief begins. Not belief in some fantasy, but belief in your right to choose your reality. Let me tell you something. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you expect. And expectations are nothing but beliefs rehearsed over time. You can't fake belief. You can't wish your way into power. You must earn it by choosing the same empowering thought every day, even when the evidence isn't there. Especially when the evidence isn't there. When Andrew Carnegie built his empire, it wasn't because he had connections. It wasn't luck. It was clarity married to belief. A steel vision forged inside, long before it bent actual steel outside. He didn't ask the world for permission. He told the world where he was going, and then he kept showing up until the world followed his lead. That's what belief looks like. It's not loud, it's consistent. You think it daily, not just when you're motivated, not just when things are easy, not just when people clap for you. You think it when no one understands. You think it when your bank account is empty and your schedule is full. You think it when your body is tired and your soul is restless, because belief isn't proven by words. It's proven by repetition. It's not, I'll believe it when I see it. It's, I'll see it because I believe it. And that belief creates a tension, a sacred discomfort that pulls you towards something more. It doesn't let you rest in smallness. It doesn't let you settle for mediocrity. It demands vision. And vision is the architecture of destiny. It's what separates those who live by design from those who live by default. Vision isn't about fantasy. It's not about escaping reality. It's about reshaping it. It's the ability to close your eyes and see beyond circumstance, to feel success before the world does, to walk like it's already yours, because it is. If you hold it long enough, if you nurture it deep enough, if you protect it fiercely enough. Steve Jobs saw a world with technology so intuitive it felt like magic, long before anyone believed it was possible. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just fight injustice. He dreamed of a future where justice reigned, and he saw it so clearly that others began to believe too. Vision is contagious. When you carry it with conviction, others feel it in your presence. It changes rooms. It changes culture. But it starts inside, when no one's watching, when it's just you, your thoughts, and your refusal to let go. And when your vision is clear, purpose rises. Because clarity and belief without purpose are like fire without direction. It burns, but it doesn't build. It's the North Star, the compass beneath the chaos, the silent force that wakes you up before the alarm clock, that drives you past logic, past excuses, past fatigue. Without it, you drift. With it, you dominate. Purpose isn't something you find by accident. It's something you decide, something you claim. You don't wait for permission. You assign it. You say, "This is my reason. This is my why. This is what I'll bleed for." Because once you lock into a purpose, the storms of life can howl all they want, but they will not move you. You are anchored. You think it daily, and it becomes who you are. And here's the truth they don't teach in school. Purpose makes pain meaningful. Discomfort becomes fuel. Rejection becomes refinement. Failure becomes feedback. Nothing is wasted when you're on purpose. Not the heartbreak, not the doubt, not the years you thought were lost. Every setback becomes sacred when it's tied to something bigger than you. And once purpose is found, or chosen, it demands discipline. Not the kind of discipline built on punishment, not the kind that feels like restriction. The real kind, the kind that says, "I honor the future me more than the present comfort." The kind that wakes you up when everyone else is still dreaming. The kind that trains your thoughts like a soldier trains for battle. Because you know your mind is a battlefield. And only those who master it become masters of destiny. Discipline doesn't come from motivation. It comes from a decision. One you renew every single day. You show up regardless of mood, regardless of conditions, regardless of applause. Because the goal is not praise. The goal is power, and power lives in action. Ideas are beautiful. Vision is vital. Belief is essential, but none of it manifests without action. The bridge between thought and reality is built with effort. And here's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Dreamers wait to feel ready. Doers move anyway. They don't wait for confidence. They build it. They don't wait for certainty. They step into it. They take action with trembling hands, uncertain steps, and unwavering hearts. Because you become what you consistently do. The man who writes 1 page a day becomes an author. The woman who trains 1 hour a day becomes an athlete. The person who dares to act on their dream every day becomes unforgettable. Do not underestimate small daily actions. They are bricks. Invisible today, undeniable tomorrow. The world may not notice at first. It never does. But the universe keeps score. The laws of cause and effect are relentless. Every moment you act in alignment with your purpose, you are sculpting a reality that has no choice but to obey your discipline. That's not magic, that's law. And you keep going, even when it's hard, even when you want to quit, even when the voice of fear is louder than your will, because that's when most people stop. And that's when you go deeper. You think it daily, you do it daily, and eventually you become it fully. Adaptability. That's where the warriors are separated from the wanderers, because even with purpose, even with discipline, the road will never unfold exactly the way you pictured it. Storms will come. Plans will fail. People will disappoint you. Markets will change. The ground will shake beneath your feet. And in those moments, your survival depends on your flexibility, not your force. The oak tree may snap in a hurricane, but the bamboo bends and lives. You must be like the bamboo, rooted in your purpose, but flexible in your path. Adaptability is not weakness. It is intelligence. It is the mark of someone who knows that the destination matters more than the method. You don't cling to old strategies when the battlefield changes. You evolve. Because you're not attached to how success shows up. You reattach to the fact that it will. Look at every legend, every empire builder, every revolutionary. They pivoted. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before the light bulb worked. He didn't quit. He didn't whine. He adjusted. Every failure wasn't a wall. It was a window into the next attempt. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election. He faced death, depression, and deep personal loss. But he adapted. He didn't let yesterday's pain paralyze today's purpose. Resilience was his armor. And resilience? That's not just bouncing back, it's rising better. It's the quiet decision to rebuild when no one's watching, to take a breath, clench your fists, and stand taller after every hit. Resilience is forged in the fire of consistency under pressure. It is the unshakable belief that no matter how dark it gets, you are not done yet, because here's the truth. Life doesn't test the weak. It tests the willing. The more you want, the more you'll be tested. Not because the universe is cruel, but because greatness demands resilience. Because you can carry the weight of a legacy if you've never lifted the weight of adversity. And adversity is your greatest classroom. That's where learning lives. Not in books alone, not in theory, but in the moments where you fall on your face, stand back up, and ask, what did this teach me? Every mistake is a lesson. Every rejection is a redirection. Every delay is a disguised preparation. The people who grow are not the ones who avoid failure. They are the ones who extract gold from it. Walt Disney was rejected by 300 banks before anyone funded Disneyland. Colonel Sanders was turned down over 1,000 times before someone bought his chicken recipe. At the age of 65, success doesn't ask your age. It asks your willingness to keep learning, to look failure in the eye and say, you may slow me down, but you will not stop me, because every great mind, from Da Vinci to Oprah, learned this. The moment you stop learning, you start dying. So you stay humble, you stay open, you listen, you read, you ask, you observe, you keep sharpening your sword, even when the battle isn't here yet, because the strongest warriors. Now let's speak of mastery, not over others, but over yourself. Because the final frontier of success is not money, not status, not applause. It's emotional control. The person who can master their inner world, their thoughts, their emotions, their reactions, becomes unshakable. Understand this. You are not your feelings. You are not your moods. You are not your fear, your doubt, your rage, your guilt. You are the observer behind them. You are the one who decides whether to act from impulse or from intention. And intention is where power lives. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel fully without surrendering your control. You feel the fear and still take the leap. You feel the anger and choose wisdom instead of revenge. You feel the sadness and still show up for your purpose. Because here's the hard truth most avoid. The world will not always be kind. People will betray you. Life will throw punches you never saw coming. But if you allow external chaos to rule your internal peace, then you've handed your power away. You can't control every event, but you can always control your interpretation, your frame, your response. That's what makes the great great. They don't just think powerfully, they respond powerfully. They sit in the fire, and they breathe deeper. They speak slowly when others yell. They step back when others strike. They lead when others collapse. Because they've trained for this, they've rehearsed it in their minds. Every single day. And what fuels that mastery? Gratitude. Yes, gratitude. The single most underestimated superpower in the human arsenal. Gratitude is not passivity. It's not naivety. It is clarity. It's the choice to focus on what is working, to amplify what is good, and to anchor your mind in possibility. Because a grateful mind cannot be broken. You want resilience. Start with gratitude. You want perspective? Start with gratitude. You want peace in the storm, strength in the pain, direction in the chaos? Start with gratitude. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It reminds you that the breath in your lungs is not guaranteed, that every second is a gift, that your current situation, no matter how hard, is also a stage being set for your next elevation. Every single day, you have something to be grateful for, and the more you see it, the more it grows. Because what you focus on expands. So focus on strength. Focus on growth. Focus on what you can control. Focus on the blessing inside the burden. And when you do that, something starts to shift. You stop being the victim of your story. You start being the author. You no longer just think positive thoughts. You live inside powerful intentions. You no longer chase things. You attract them. You don't scream for the world to hear you. The world leans in silently because your presence commands it. And it all began with a single thought. A thought repeated. A thought owned. A thought embodied. You thought it daily, and now you are becoming it fully. And now we arrive not at the end, but at the becoming. Because the truth is, there is no final chapter, only deeper chapters. Only greater versions of the same story that began the day you said, I will no longer shrink. I will no longer betray my potential for temporary comfort. I will no longer live as a reaction. From this moment on, I decide. That's where power lives. In decision, not in waiting, not in hoping, not in asking the world to be easier, but in declaring that you will be stronger. You don't need more time. You don't need more approval. You don't need more signs. You need to trust that the thought you've been holding is real, that the fire you feel is not some illusion. It is your calling in disguise. Because everything you need, you already have. The mind, sharpen it. The heart, protect it. The vision, guard it. The discipline, activate it. The action, own it. And when the world tests you as it will, you remember this. You are not here to repeat history. You are here to rewrite it. You are not here to conform. You are here to rise. You are not here to blend in. You are here to build the impossible. Let the world sleepwalk. Let them scroll. Let them waste time debating limits you've already decided to outgrow. You don't need to be the loudest. You just need to be relentless. Quietly, powerfully, daily. You know now what most will never realize. Repetition is transformation. You don't just become successful by wanting success. You become successful by thinking it daily, feeling it deeply, living it completely. Every single thought a brick, every single action a seed, every single belief a blueprint, and eventually, without even noticing, you are what you once only imagined. The world around you bends to match the world inside you. Your habits change. Your circle evolves. Your health improves. Your clarity deepens. Your results multiply. Your presence magnifies. Why? Because you thought it daily, and now you have become it fully. No turning back. No apology. No regret. Just purpose, power, peace. Let the world ask how you did it. You won't need to answer. You'll be the answer. Now go. Think it daily. Become it fully. And never forget the future belongs to those who discipline their thoughts and obey their vision.